Welcome to Math with Mrs. Bibb. Today we will be solving equations involving absolute value and solving proportions. Remember, the definition for absolute value is the distance a number is from zero. When evaluating absolute value expressions, for example, like this, the absolute value of -3 plus -4. Remember, you use order of operations and treat absolute value as if it were parentheses. You do what's inside the parentheses. 3 plus -4 is -1. And the absolute value of -1 is +1 because -1 is 1 unit from 0. That's why the answer is positive. I can remember back when I learned absolute value that I was just told it's always positive. Well, it's always positive because it's measuring the distance that number is from 0. An absolute value equation is an equation that represents distance. So one must consider both the case where the solution is to the right and to the left of 0. I think it should say cases. Both of the cases where the solution is to the right and to the left of 0. And here's our formal definition. For example, the absolute value of a plus b equal to c, where c is not 0. Be sure to fill in that blank. You must solve two equations. Those two equations are a plus b equals c or a plus b equals -c. Please note, at this step, you do not put the absolute value symbols. You are writing the two equations necessary to solve that absolute value problem. You will have two solutions. Fill that in as well, please. If it is equal to 0, if c is equal to 0, absolute value of a plus b equals 0, you will only have one solution and you'll solve this equation, a plus b equals 0. Let's do some examples. The absolute value of y plus 2 equals 4. We're going to solve and then we're going to graph those two solutions. One thing I want to note that I did not see in this textbook, but I want to note that this value must always be positive. And sometimes I'll do an extra example. Sometimes you will have extra stuff around that you have to manipulate in order to see if this value would be positive here. Okay, our value is positive, so we're going to write our two equations. You take what's in your absolute value, y plus 2. That's like your a plus b, set it equal to 4. Or, that's our conjunction, y plus 2, set it equal to -4. Solve both of them independently. Subtract 2, y will equal 2. Subtract 2, y will equal -6. So my solutions, I write them this way, but you may just circle this, but I do want you to see them written this way. -6 and 2 are my solutions. And then to graph them on a number line, -6, it really does not have to be fancy, and +2. Those are my solutions graphed on a number line. Solid dots on those points, and I'll make it a different color. Solid green dots on my red number line. For the second one, number 2, The number on the right is positive, so 2t minus 4 equals positive 8, or 2t minus 4 equals negative 8. I'm going to solve both of those independently. I'm going to add 4. So 2t will equal 12. I'm going to divide by 2, so t will equal 6. I'm going to add 4 on the second equation. 2t will equal negative 4. Divide by 2, t will equal negative 2. So my two solutions are negative 2 and positive 6. I'm going to put green dots, one at negative 2 and one at positive 6. And then for the last one, this number is not positive, so you may want to write down, or please write down, cannot be negative. That number must be greater than or equal to, I should add B, must be greater than or equal to 0. So my answer is no solution, or you will often see this symbol, which stands for the empty set. That means there's no answers. Like these are sets, let me point them out. These are sets. The empty set, you might even see this sometimes. The empty set looks like this. It literally is empty. There's nothing inside the empty set. There's two solutions inside this one, two solutions inside this one. This one is empty. So I write no solution, but you may see a form of those other two at some point. Then I want to show you this example. Negative 3 times the absolute value of x plus 1 minus 4 equals 5. What you would do is you want to get this alone. You want to make this equation look like these. And where can you write this? Let me look at your paper really quickly that I'm handing out. Just find a space somewhere to write this problem if you can. Hold on. Oh, there may be space down there or above it, anywhere. But please do include this problem. So I want to get this alone. I'm going to get rid of this 4 first and then get rid of this 3. I never distribute. The reason why I never distribute, sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't, so I never do. I'm going to add 4. Negative 3 times the absolute value of x plus 1 is going to equal 9. I'm going to divide by negative 3. So the absolute value of x plus 1 will equal negative 3. And lo and behold, this is not positive, therefore this one would be no solution. If, and you do not have to write this down, but if this had been a positive 3, so if that had been a positive 3, this would be positive 3. And again, you do not have to write this. You would have this problem, the absolute value of x plus 1 equals positive 3. Then you would write your two equations, x plus 1 equals positive 3, or x plus 1 equals negative 3, and you would solve those two equations. Let's look at example 4. Your music library is full. You need to do something about it. And it says, depending on the size of each song, Luna's phone holds an average of about 2,000 songs, give or take 250. Write and solve an absolute value equation to find the maximum and minimum number of songs that Luna's phone can hold. So that means that the average number of songs that she can have is 2,000. And this sort of goes along with the next problem. So you may want to look down at number 5. You've got this, you'll see this, x minus, and then it's empty and equals a box. So here is the distance from the middle here. this is your mean, and you can see that down there on example number 5. So as I look at that, my mean is 2,000. My phone can hold, or Luna's phone, not mine, Luna's phone can hold an average of 2,000 songs. And then give or take 250. So that would be my distance from the mean. And then it says, find the maximum and minimum number of songs that Luna's phone can hold. So we have written, and now we're going to solve an equation involving absolute value. So x minus 2,000 is going to equal 250, or x minus 2,000 is going to equal negative 250. I'm going to add 2,000. So x will equal 2250, or I'm going to add 2,000. X will equal 1,750. Now, one thing I like to do is if I have a word problem, I think we should write our answers in a sentence. And so we would say the maximum number of songs Luna's phone will hold will be 2,250, and the minimum will be 1,750 songs. Now we're going to write an absolute value equation from each graph. And I did not have the time when I typed this to actually put the numbers on the graph, so I'm going to do that now, and you can copy as I do. For my graph for number 5, I have, and I hope I can squeeze them all in here, I have from 16 to 27, and I go by 1, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I run out of space writing my numbers, so I start writing every other one. And then I have a dot on 17, and I have a dot on 27. So I want to write the absolute value equation for this graph. So that means you're going to employ the little trick that we did on the last one. The middle number is what goes here in this spot, and the distance from the middle number is what goes here. So I'm going to count how many spots there are between 17 and 27. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can also do this, a plus b divided by 2. So I'm going to write that over here. You might want to include that. A plus b divided by 2. That will find you your middle. So 17 plus 27 divided by 2 is 44 divided by 2. So the middle is 22. So you actually don't have to count. That is your middle number. I forgot about that when I was making these notes. So my middle number is 22. And then how far are each of these from the middle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units from the middle. So x minus 5. You could test the other side just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is also 5 units from the other side. So this is my answer to number 5. And number 6. I have from negative 2 to 4. Whole numbers, a dot on negative 2 and a dot on 4. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to use that same a plus b, negative 2 plus 4 divided by 2, which is 2 divided by 2. So 1 is my middle number. Here's the middle number, 1. And the middle number goes in that absolute value. X minus 1 equals, and how far are each of those numbers from the middle? 1, 2, 3 units, I think. 1, 2, 3 units. So it's going to equal 3. And that's the answer to number 6. A proportion is an equation stating two ratios are equal. An equation stating two ratios are equal. An equation stating two ratios are equal. And you'll hear me say, if you have a fraction equal to a fraction, that's when I cross multiply. Many people cringe at cross multiply, but that's when I do literally multiply these two, these two, and set it equal to these two multiplied. So I multiply these two, set it equal to these two multiplied. So I do cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply x and 25. That'd be 25x equals 45 times 15. That would be 675. When you see these instructions, if necessary, round to the nearest hundredth, you may use a calculator. So when you're working on the assignment for this lesson, you absolutely may grab a calculator when you're on this section. So I'm going to divide by 25, and 675 divided by 25 is 27. For the next one, I'm going to multiply my reds. X times 24 is 24x. I'm going to set it equal to 9 times the quantity 2x minus 3. I'm going to distribute 24 equals 18x minus 27. I'm going to subtract 18x from both sides. So 24x, sorry about, I dropped up my x. 24x minus 18x is 6x equals negative 27. Divide by 6, x will equal negative 4.5. For number 3, we're doing an example about Mexico City. It's a geography example, and parts of Mexico City are sinking at a rate of 140 centimeters every 5 years. So something I like to do to show work is to show that my ratio is centimeters to years, and I want to make another ratio with centimeters to years. And looking at that, 140 centimeters every 5 years. If this rate remains constant, how many centimeters? So that means I do not know the centimeters. Will the city sink in the next 12 years? So then I'm going to cross multiply. 140 times 12 is 1,680. And that's going to equal 5x. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So x will equal 336. It's a word problem, so I need to give it a word answer. In the next 12 years, so I just used the words from the question. Mexico City will sink about 336 centimeters. That would be my answer to number 3. Number 4, a dripping faucet wastes 3 cups of water, so cups to hours. Now, what's it asking me, though? How much water is wasted in 1 week, I think is what that should say. I think I just typed that wrong, so please fix that on your paper. How much water is wasted in a week? So scribble that out and put a week. Okay. I need to know how many hours in a week. I think that's how I converted it when I did it on my paper. Okay, so hours in a week. So I have 24 hours in a day times 7 days. So 7 fours are 28, 7 times 2 is 14, 168. So when I fill this in, I want hours and I want cups. So 3 cups every 24 hours is going to equal how much water is wasted. So number of cups in 168 hours. So I'm going to multiply 168 times 3. And remember, you can use a calculator when you're doing these, because your instructions are going to say round to the nearest tenth. That is 504. And then you're going to divide by 24. So x will equal 21. Well, what does that mean in the context of the problem? In 1 week, 21 cups of water is wasted. And that's my notes. I hope you have a good day.